Hello, everybody. Me and Michelle just got back from our trip to a bunch of national parks. We went to Yellowstone and Grand Teton and Glacier Park, as well as Waterton Park in Canada. And we were camping the whole time in a little rental car, and it was a lot of fun. So there's a ton of paintings we did too, but I'm going to run through some of mine in this video. So I think this one here was Glacier Park, and this part right here is the Highline Trail, which it was really crazy. There's just it's really high above the clouds, so this part that looks sort of like a river was just a bunch of fluffy clouds everywhere, and it was kind of like clouds sandwiching the land, and that was pretty cool. And then this one, I forget where it was, but I was getting kind of tired of painting mountains, so I just sort of made a little more graphic, more abstract kind of version of mountains. And then this was also Glacier, I think. But I wanted to... There was some really fast-moving clouds here, so I might have been doing the clouds off of a picture, but it was really fun. The clouds were done with just first doing the sky, or kind of creating an outline around all the clouds, and then going back in with a really, really watery wash to get like the shadows, the underbellies of the clouds. And then this one was fun because the rocks had a bunch of striations and kind of like grinded away look to it, and you could see all the different layers. So I was trying to load up my brush with a bunch of different colors and try to get some kind of let the brush irregularity paint do the work there. And then this one was, I think this was Beartooth Highway, which was beautiful. I think it's considered like one of the most scenic drives in the U.S., and it was pretty insane, kind of mountains everywhere. So it's funny, the highways in between the parks were almost more enjoyable than the parks themselves, because they're just vast emptiness, and there's not that many people around, and it's just gorgeous. And then same thing here with the mountains. I was trying to get like the striations in there. And then this is in Canada, Waterton, Canada. And then this is the Prince of Wales Hotel or something like that. These parks had all these really giant log cabin type hotels, and they were really, really impressive and luxurious looking, and kind of strange that they're out in the middle of nowhere in the wilderness, but definitely nice for the campers and for people to just go in and get a coffee, and when it's really cold and windy outside. So that was nice. And then this was, oh god, I don't know where this was, but it was pretty. This was Logan Pass in East Glacier. This one was this crazy bowl, very, very windy bowl. So these clouds were just moving way too fast, so I had to take a picture for this one. And there was a guy here just sitting on the ledge, and he kept like almost getting blown over by the wind, and he kept like shouting and freaking out. But we were in the car for this one because it was super cold, super windy. And then this was also Logan Pass. There's actually a trail here, or a boardwalk here, but I kind of left it out. I left out a lot of stuff, and the colors are all wrong, but I'm happy with the clouds. I think the clouds were cool. So I just, again, put in the sky first, really opaque, just to find the outlines of the clouds. And then once you find the outlines, it's easy to put in the watery underbelly, and then you just leave the white for the tops of the clouds. And then and there was a bunch of interesting rocks here. I didn't really capture it, what was actually there, but I kind of feel like this was an interesting experiment. This one I'm not happy with. Where was this? I forget where this was. Oh, I think this is Yellowstone somewhere. But I don't know. This one the water looks kind of cheesy, I think. I could have done a better job on the water. I think this is Grand Teton. And I'm not sure exactly what was going on here. I do know it's probably a lot more complicated here. But I tried to make it simple, and I kind of feel I like the softness, or it feels very soft, and there's a bunch of like sort of muddy grays in here, which I kind of like. But it got sort of watery back here. Maybe it could have been thicker here. I'm not sure. This is Yellowstone, the geysers. I think the Mammoth geysers or whatever, Mammoth pools, hot springs. But it was just some really weird rock formations, and this is all filled with water here. So I tried to do all the water at first in a big gradient, but I think I did it way too light in the beginning, because then when I looked at it again, I noticed that all these yellow rock little mini ledges were much brighter than the water in real life. So since my water was already really light, I couldn't go any lighter on the yellow. So I had to go back and darken all the water after the fact, like going in between the lines, which was not really fun, but it's okay. I gave it a shot. And these were also, when I first painted this in, I had a lot more of these ledges, and it was much more complicated. And then I ended up just painting over a lot of it and getting rid of it, because I think it looked better with less stuff there. So yeah, I forgot to simplify here, so I had to go back and fix that after. I still feel like this area where the ledges are is a little bit weird and confusing, but maybe next time. I haven't painted these before, so they were new. This one was also Yellowstone, this really crazy sort of cliff-ish drop-off. And then back here, all these rocks were getting these crazy shadows and stuff, but I was looking over at Michelle's painting, and her shadows were like getting really crazy and complicated and just hard to look at. So I kind of thought, okay, maybe I'll just skip that and take the easy route. But if next time, I'll try to get the details in there. But yeah, there was a lot of details down here too. There's a lot of rocks and shadows and things. So I repainted over this part a bunch of times, because I kept trying to make it accurate to what was there, but it was very noisy and very confusing. So in the end, I ended up just painting over it and making it much simpler. This one I don't like. The view was really cool, but I feel like this composition I picked was not that great. And then these little ripples of waves down here look like garbage. I don't know what I was doing there. This was like there was lots of white foam here because of rocks in the river, but I couldn't figure out a good way to represent that. Oh well. And then this one was hot spring. Wait, are these hot springs? I don't know, but it's a very, very deep pool of water, and sometimes they go from orange to blue to teal, and like deep teal. And everybody that walked by this pool was like, "Oh man, that's real deep. Let me tell you something, that's real deep, man." So if you look down here, it was kind of like this weird optical illusion, because the water was so deep that it was creating, like, you know when people wear really thick glasses and it distorts their eyeballs and makes their eyeballs look really big. So that's kind of what was happening here. There's just a very weird distortion going on in the water. And And also this cliff here, like this green cliff that was like right under the water. These little shelves are kind of hanging over the water, but they're hollow underneath. So the water is actually like spreading out underneath the surface of the land, of the crust here. So it's kind of a crazy formation. And if I would be afraid to walk out onto these ledges because they look like they're going to break, because there's no support under them other than the water. And yeah, a lot of weird colors in these pools. And apparently it's because there's bacteria that grows in this water, and wherever it's hotter, different species of bacteria grow in different temperatures of water. So like the orange bacteria goes in the really hot water, and then the blue bacteria goes in the cooler water, and it makes like this rainbow effect. It's kind of cool. And then this one is Grand Teton, I think. And the grass really was this yellow, even more bright yellow than this. It was crazy. And then the mountains were cool. I tried to get some snow up here, which I thought was interesting. And yeah, I'm kind of happy with this one. This one was, I think, also Grand Teton. There's a lake called Lake Jenny that you can cross with the little boat, and then on that side, on the other side of the lake, we painted this. I think there was a marmot or something on the rocks here. Oh, there was a chipmunk that kept coming by and trying to take our snacks. But I'm not sure if I'm so about this one. I'm like 50-50 on that one. I don't know. This was also a Grand Teton, I think, and it had this was the kind of a river bend where Ansel Adams took his famous photo that they used to promote the park back in the day. But from the viewpoint that he used, there's a bunch of trees that have grown since then, so you couldn't really see it. But anyway, this is that same area, but off to the side. And I thought this little shadow part was really cool. This was sunset, so that you were catching a little bit of light from the plants there on the edge of that shelf. So I thought that was cool, and that's the main reason why I wanted to do this part, or this painting. And then this one, I think, was the first painting of the trip in Grand Teton. Just some really bushy type stuff, and then got a couple people in there. Yeah, I think that's it. I feel like we did more, but I guess not. Well, anyway, it was a really great trip. We do these trips every year, it seems like. Last year we were in, where were we? I think we were in New Zealand last year painting, and then Iceland the year before that. And yeah, I think painting's a really good way to just slow down and sit there for a while, and you get to absorb everything a little bit before you move on. Because especially in the parks, because man, it's so crowded in there, and there's some, like, especially Yellowstone was pretty crowded when we went, and so you're like kind of fighting a crowd to get to a spot, and then you just want to sit there and get your money's worth, not money's worth, but get your, spend some time there, because it took so much, whatever, you know what I mean. It's nice to slow down and do some paintings. But anyway, that's it. That's our haul. And oh yeah, so for the daily drawing workshop thing, for you guys who were doing that before the trip, I'm gonna be getting back to that soon. I'm just preparing for my Blender class, which is starting on Thursday. So hopefully next week I'll be starting at some point. I'll try to keep you guys better updated. I'm sorry, I'm like kind of just disappearing for weeks at a time and not saying anything. But okay, thanks for watching. I'll see you later.